Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Belle Epoque Collection. Today I'm going to be talking about the legendary and iconic Spanish Surrealist, who was one of the most important artists of the 20th century, Salvador Dalí.
People think that you were a crackpot. Do you know what a crackpot is?
Crack plan.
A crackpot. A crazy person.
Yes, but this is not absolutely exact, because tell many times Dali is almost crazy, but the only difference between one crazy people and Dali is not crazy, but almost.
Salvador Dalí was born in the small town of Figueros near Cadaqués in Spain in 1904. This town and his upbringing would serve as a huge inspiration to a young Dalí when he decided to become an artist. His father sent him to the University of Madrid to study painting, where he met fellow eccentric and future collaborator Louis Buñuel. In 1926, Dalí moved to Paris, driven to meet fellow countryman and idol Pablo Picasso. There he moved into a studio in Montmartre with his new love and muse, Russian beauty Gala, where they crossed paths with a collective of artists who called themselves Surrealists. Surrealist theory revolves around the manipulation of time, space, dreams, recollection and memory, juxtaposed with ideas of symbolism, metaphor and political messages. Surrealism had existed for several years in Europe, driven by artists such as Breton, Ernst, Miro, Ray, Magritte and Duchamp, to name a few. But when Dalí arrived, the movement had lost traction and relevance. Dalí single-handedly reinvigorated the Surrealists and guided the movement to new and exciting frontiers. Surrealism was no longer just painting and sculpture, it transcended into poetry, design, theory, photography and even film. In 1929, Dalí collaborated with his old friend Buñuel and produced Un Chien Andalou, the masterpiece of surrealist cinema. The experimental film contained some of the most iconic imagery and set design ever produced on film, and later led to further collaborations with the likes of Hitchcock on Spellbound in 1939, and Walt Disney on Destino, which began in 1946 and wasn't completed and released until 2003. However, these achievements paled in comparison to his innovative, eclectic, macabre and memorable surrealist paintings. Completed in 1931, his undisputed masterpiece, The Persistence of Memory, is one of the most recognised and reproduced images in history.
Ew! Go! Soup's on, fat boy.
The work contains all the characteristics of surrealist theory, and this painting was the beginning of numerous significant works that both challenge and amaze the viewer, and position Dalí as the undisputed king of surrealism. In the 1940s, Dalí began his foray into book illustrations, using his distinct style to reinterpret classics such as Macbeth, Don Quixote, Alice in Wonderland, the Divine Comedie, and even the Holy Bible. This is the expressionistic, surreal, original ink and woodcut Montee de Geryon from La Divine Comedie, produced in 1960. Signing thousands of limited edition prints per day, Dalí would often get bored and sometimes doodle on his own woodcuts or lithographs. This stunning original woodcut is embellished with an original ink illustration of his renowned Anthropomorphic Cabinet, one of Dalí's most common themes, inspired by Freud's theories on the female form. The work comes from a private collection in San Francisco. At Belle Epoque, we're also very lucky to have this rare, original, limited edition colour etching, Ésaü of the White Hands, produced in 1970. From the legend of Tristan et Iseult, adapted by French poet André Marie, the work depicts the jealous Princess Ésaü of Brittany. The etching is limited to only 125. Dalí was highly imaginative and also enjoyed indulging in unusual and grandiose behaviour. His eccentric manner and attention-grabbing public actions sometimes drew more attention than his artwork. He even built his own museum dedicated to himself in his hometown of Figueros, where he was entombed when he passed away in 1989. However, Dalí has been cited as a major inspiration by many successful modern artists, and his legacy is unquestionably one of the most important and influential of any artist in history. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Belle Epoque Collection, and I hope you've learnt something. And I hope to see you next time. Take care.